everyone, Jane here. Thank you so much for watching today. Today I thought I would do a sort of a colour palette themed project, and I wanted to sort of just create with abandon to start with. So I'm choosing some colours from the Kuretake Gansai Tambi sets. Now I've got two sets, I've got the 36 and I've got the Art Nouveau. I can't remember off the top of my head what colours I used, but I chose them matching them up to this colour palette from the Colour Palettes book. As always, I will list everything in the description box below, including the colours that I used. I chose most of the colours, I think, from the 36 set, which is quite unusual for me. I do tend to favour the Art Nouveau because I find them a little bit more muted. But I didn't go for just using the Gansai Tambi paints. I'm also looking here for a couple of the Tempera paint sticks because these are really fun. And what I wanted to create a masterboard. Now, a masterboard, for those of you who aren't aware, is just where you have a bigger piece of card or paper and you create a big piece and then you can cut that down into smaller projects. So you're not really thinking so much about your individual projects, you're thinking more about just creating a big piece of fun art. And I really wanted to use this to just really get some colour down and have a good old play. So I'm not thinking. That is the main key to this. I just wanted to get the colour down, get some shapes down and have some fun with my products. And if you want to find out how products work with each other, what you can do with them, doing things like this is a really good thing to do. So I'm starting off with the Gansai Tambi paints. Now these are a watercolour, but they are a bit different to your usual watercolours that we would expect. They are a Japanese watercolour, so they're a little bit thicker. I really enjoy them, but if you're used to creating with very much like Western style watercolours, they may take a bit of getting used to, or they might not suit you, but I really love them. I love the fact you have the big pan so you can really get your brushes in, and that's what I was doing here. I was getting those brushes in to get some big marks down. I wanted to just let go. So I've gone with the four colours that I chose. I think one was like a brown, a couple of greens and this orangey yellow. When I'm looking at a colour palette, I'm not trying to be exact at all. I use it as a guide, and I then also wanted to add in some other products. So I've got a couple of the Tempera paint sticks. These are aimed at children. They don't have any light fastness or pigment information, so I would only ever use them for my own personal sort of art and craft. I wouldn't use them if anything that I was going to be like trying to sell. Not that I do sell my work anyway, but that's just something to consider if that's something that you might want to do. So again, they're really good for really big expressive mark making, and I went for circles. Now I love circles, so I am making no apologies for the fact that I use them a lot. I love circles. I just find them such a joyful shape, and so I believe that when you are creating for yourself, then that is, do what makes you happy. And if it means you're more likely to create because you're doing things you love, then do more of that. So I'm just bringing in also some of the Neocolor 2s. Now Neocolor 2s are a water soluble crayon, but I am not using them in that way. Just left this bit in because I've got a tag die, and I was just showing that I would then look around my bigger piece to see where I might cut out some tags, and in the end I managed to cut 3 tags from the sheet. I also had some little bits left, and I decided this was the one I wanted to work on today. So you can immediately see that as soon as you cut that masterboard down, it gives you a totally different look, and you might have a big piece that you think, oh my goodness, this is just like a mess. But when you cut it down and then you add other bits on top, you can transform it into a work of art. So this stamp set is one I've had in my stash for a little while. It came from Craft Stash. I'm not even sure if it's still available. I'll put the name of it in the description, but it's just, you use what you have. So I'm going in. There was black in my colour palette, so I had already knew that that's what I was going to add in sort of at this point, so that's why I didn't put any into the background. So I'm just using my black Versafine, I think it's Nocturne in their colour names, just to add a little bit in the background. I'm not going mad with that, I just wanted a little touch of the black in there. And then there is a stencil, which I hadn't even remembered was in the back of the stamp set. I think it was separate, but I put it in the back of there. And so it was a little bit of a nice surprise to find that in there. So I was going to do circles again. And then I thought, actually, do you know, this has got very much a garden sort of really light feel about it. I'm going to go in with the sort of, I think they're like dandelion, you know, like when your dandelions change into the dandelion clocks is what we would call them here, and you're going to blow the seeds everywhere and annoy everybody by polluting their gardens with more dandelions. And I thought they would look lovely in there, and I went with some of this gold paint. It's just a HobbyCraft acrylic paint, nothing particularly special, but I am using my stipply brush and just getting a few of those into the background. And I've gone with the gold because it fits in with the colour theme, but it's quite subtle, so it's not going to overpower anything. It's just sitting there in the background with the other sort of marks. And then I've got this other stencil. It's like a sequin waist type pattern, so you could actually use proper sequin waist as well, but I'm only ever giving you a guide with all of this. Like, you use what I would always say, use what you have. That's the most important thing. Like, go through your stash and see what you've got that you can do. It's not going to look the same, but it's going to look like you made it. And I'm now adding in some white acrylic paint, again HobbyCraft paint, and I just wanted to lighten up that background. And if ever you feel that your backgrounds are getting maybe a little bit dark, a little bit too much, then adding in a little bit of white just helps to lift it back up again. And there we go, that's the background so far. But I did want some focal points, and I've got a couple of books from Maremi Small Art here. I've got the Fungos book and the Spooky Personas. And this is the thing with these books is, you know, don't just look at them for what they say. So the Spooky Personas, I'm not very much of a Halloween crafter. It's not the sort of thing that I generally do. I don't mind a little bit, but it's not my thing. But there are some other images in there that are really cute to use. There's like this little bird who's got this little, I'm not sure if it's the top of a pumpkin or the top of an acorn or something, but I thought the colours went really well with the project, and I was looking for something nature inspired to go in there. And then I found the toadstool as well, which sort of matched that orangey sort of colour as in the colour palettes. And also the bird, the tummy of the bird got that sort of creamy colour that was in the colour palette that at the end I realised I hadn't actually included, but luckily it was in the bird. Now I did want a little bit of shading, and because there was a dark brown in the colour palette, I've gone with the Bark Derwent Inktense pencil. Now these are permanent when dry, as long as you've made sure you have watered out the pigment. Now I learnt recently, I think I was watching Caution Artist at Play's channel. I think it's Shana. I will link her channel in the description box below, because she has done a video all about Derwent Inktense, and I learnt some stuff off of that by watching that the other day, and it's really interesting. So if Inktense is something that you are interested in, but you are a bit curious about how it works and what it is, she has a really good video on that, and so I will link her channel. I'll link that video, I think. I'll link that video and maybe go over and pop over and give her a subscribe or a like if you think, yes, this is good. She does some really good sort of medium type videos. Now, I just add it around and I water it out. I lift from the nib of the pencil. I'm sorry if you've heard me say this before. I tend to say it every time, but it's just important to remember, only take the colour. Do not be getting that wood wet. You just want to be, I have just a lightly damp brush, and I'm literally taking it from where the pigment is. I'm not getting the wood wet, because you don't want that wetness going into there and then maybe causing it to eventually sort of start rotting away. So I'm just going around the whole of the image and just adding it a little bit darker towards where the line art would be, and then watering it out into the, you know, more into the project. And finally, I just wanted to add on a little sentiment. And when I saw Shake Your Tail Feathers, I thought that's got to be the one. It just went so well with this little bird, and just applying it with a little bit of glue. So thank you ever so much for watching today. If you have enjoyed this video, do please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, it would be fabulous if you could hit that subscribe button if this is the sort of content you'd like to watch. And as always, a really big shout out and thank you to my members, my super supporters, whose names you will see just after I've shown you the project. So until the next time, bye bye.